Hey there, it's Jon Fleischman with SoDoesItMatter.com. And if you're watching this, you're getting a little something extra because you're a paid subscriber. So I really appreciate you helping out. And I just wanted to talk a little bit more about the immigration issue. Hopefully, if you're watching this, you've read the column that I wrote up above. And I have not written a lot about immigration. I mean, I wrote an issue toolkit about why illegal immigration is a criminal violation. And I did that in response to the fact that because the act of deportation often takes place in a civil proceeding, that the underlying criminal violation doesn't even exist. It's like ignored. And of course, that's not the case. There is a criminal violation, which is self-obvious, right? You know, there's a big sign when you try to cross the border that says illegal entry is forbidden. And so, one of the reasons why I don't write about this issue a lot is not because I don't care about it. Frankly, it's because I care about it too much. And um, I have no problem being assertive with my opinions, as you know, if you read this page. But even I catch myself when I talk about illegal immigration getting pretty fired up and I get pretty angry. And I don't find that that's a great way to engage people on this issue because it could be a very emotional issue. From my perspective, right? We're a nation of laws. We have laws about when you can come into the country and when you can't come into the country. As a matter of fact, when you're looking for the kind of people that you want to have in America, like right on the top of the list would be respect for the rule of law. And so one of the issues that you are immediately confronted with is literally by definition, every person, adult really, who has snuck across the border, crept across the border, paid somebody to help them get across the border, they, with their own agency, with their own ability to determine right from wrong, have decided that my need or desire to be in the United States of America is greater than my respect for the laws of the United States of America. Now, as I put in the article above, some of this has been created, some of the permission structure, maybe a lot of the permission structure for this has been created by generations of people crossing the border. And then, I don't know what period of time they go through where they're apprehensive. And what if we get caught? We're going to get sent back. And then they don't get caught and they don't get sent back because by and large, where there has been immigration enforcement in the United States, it's been at the border. We haven't had a tremendous amount of interior illegal immigration enforcement until recently. And so, when you cross the border and it works out and there's really not a negative consequence, you get on the phone and through other means, you contact other people that you know, and you're like, come on over. Like literally, come on over because nothing happened to me. It's fine. Just come on in. And suddenly you get massive illegal immigration. And somebody wrote once, and while the wording is strong, I kind of agree with the sentiment that when you have mass immigration, illegal immigration, without assimilation, it's really invasion. And not invasion in the sense that this is a foreign army coming in, but it's a massive number of people coming into the country that have not been given permission to come in the country. We've had no opportunity to do background checks. We've had no opportunity to do criminal checks. And, the process of allowing people into the country is supposed to be a orderly one where there are quotas, one where, maybe there's certain types of people you want having coming into the country. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it was Milton Friedman who said that you can't have a welfare state and open borders because the result of those two things together are mass immigration of people that are coming to get free stuff. And I think it would be unfair to say that all of the people that have illegally entered the United States have come here for free stuff. But because free stuff is available, they know that they get it when they come here. And also, frankly, it's an awfully weird permission structure. Hey, I snuck across the border. I got into the border. I got miles from the border. And now my kids get to go to school for free. And I don't feel at risk because I get police protection for free. And now in California, I get to have healthcare for free. And you can add to it on top of that things like, because of court decisions, education is free. And there's something else free that I was going to talk about that again, at the end of the day, when you come here and you're an illegal immigrant and everyone is telling you, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Everybody does it. It's not a big deal. Everyone around here is illegal. Don't worry about it. The U.S. doesn't care. And this is, like I said, where you get into this big dichotomy, right, in the country, the Great Divide, where you've got entire areas of the country where there are no illegal aliens, or if they are, nobody knows that they are. And if they were, people would be upset. And then you've got other places in the country where there's been mass illegal immigration, and you can literally have entire areas where everyone is here illegally. And it ain't big, and it ain't a big deal. Except, of course, it is a big deal. At least to me, it's a big deal because, like I told you, there's this issue of the rule of law. And then let's talk about the people out there in the world that want to come to the United States who are not rule breakers, who actually believe in the rule of law. And so they get in line waiting for their chance to legally immigrate, except everything has been jacked up and clogged up by all of these people who come into the country illegally. They cut in line, they don't give a crap about all the people waiting legally in line, and so the brakes get put on the legal immigration process. So if you're looking for fairness and equity here, I mean, frankly, people that are in the country here illegally should be made to go back where they came from and get in line behind the people that have been doing it right and waiting their turn. And then, maybe they get a chance to come in. Although, to be honest with you, and I know the Trump administration, has talked about this, but right now is the opportunity for people that are citizens of other countries who knowingly came here against the law to go back. Because my position is that if you have to get deported, I mean, the laws are what they are about what that means and how that inhibits timelines on when you can come back. As far as I'm concerned, if you came to the United States illegally, see, I'm already starting to get fired up. If you come to the United States illegally, you didn't have permission to be here, you came here, and then a president of the United States and the federal administration says the jig is up. It's not okay that you did that, and we need you to leave now. And you make a decision not to leave. Everyone around you, the local politicians, the state politicians, don't worry about it. They're never coming after you. Those are people I don't want back. Those are people who have not only violated the law to come here, but they've been called on it and they've been told to leave and they don't leave. So these are fundamentally people who do not believe that the United States is a sovereign country that should have enforceable borders and that this country should be able to choose who's here and who's not here. And I've had long conversations with people here legally, and I've had long conversations with people here illegally. And I don't think these are controversial positions that I'm taking and positions that I have. I think that they're heartfelt. And again, I don't take this down to the individual person level and hold animus towards people. I mean, I've got a good friend of mine, and he and I talk about immigration a lot. And we talked about the fact that if you have a house and you leave the front door to your house open and you put chocolate chip cookies on the front porch to invite people up, and so people come up and they eat a cookie and they come into your house and they sit in your living room, is that really illegally entering your house because you left your door open and you left the cookies out? But we both agree that if you get home and you find this person has come into your house, and by the way, what a great person that came into your house. They did your laundry, they cleaned up the house, they did some home improvements. They're very nice people who have improved your home, but you don't want them there. And they didn't ask permission before they opened the door, and they did come into the house. And so now you've asked them to leave. You've said, yeah, no, thank you. But then they kind of look at you and they're like, well, I don't have to leave because I've got a bedroom here and I've been here. You were on that vacation around the world for 6 months and I've been here for 5 months. And now it's like they feel they have a property right to that extra bedroom in your house. The analogy obviously is not totally correct, but you get the idea. And so, one of the problems that we run into is that for people that don't know illegal immigrants, or many of them, or who live far away from where there are large populations of people here illegally, it's easy to think of this group of people as a big category. A category of people who have all broken the law and should have to pay the appropriate consequence. And we can come back to what an appropriate consequence is, but for me, it's pretty, well, we don't have to come back to it. It's pretty self-obvious to me that if you illegally enter a place, I mean, at a minimum, you should be made to leave, whether or not you have to pay a fine or go to jail in addition to that. But leaving shouldn't even be controversial. That should be, at a minimum, it's kind of like you got caught. You shouldn't have been in the house. You broke into the store. You broke into the country. You got to go. But somehow that's controversial. And I think it's controversial because when you get people who know these people and have become friends with these people and they've integrated themselves into the community, no longer are they a class of people. They're millions of individual people, and Americans have compassion and we feel for people like that. And so you really run into this problem, which is why you have the rule of law, because laws are not supposed to be flexible based on who you like and who you don't like. In a civilized society, the rules are the rules for everybody. And in this case, you really have created a permission structure where we have laws, they're on the books, they haven't been changed, but yet people don't like the laws, so they don't follow the laws, which I guess would lead me to kind of a last point that I want to make in this little dialogue. And I think maybe I'll have more of them. I'm trying to stay chill, but what happens if we get into a situation where an individual gets to decide whether they like the law or don't like the law? Because I can tell you now, we have a bunch of laws on the books, especially here in California, that I think are complete crap. I don't like them at all. I don't think they should exist, but I follow them because they are the law. And then I peacefully advocate that the laws be changed. And what happens when you start to get individuals who decide they don't like particular laws? I'm not going to change them. I'm just not going to follow them. And that's really dangerous. Then when it happens on a massive scale, this is where you get this incredible divide. And anyways, the last point that I'll reiterate, which I put in my column, is that I do roll my eyes a little bit at people that are complaining about the tactics that are used by ICE. I mean, maybe I should rephrase. There are some people in ICE who are using tactics that I do not approve of, right? For sure. But overwhelmingly, ICE officers are doing things the right way. But are ICE officers the best people equipped to handle mass deportations in America? We're not really set up as a country that has freedom and liberty to have large swaths of federal forces inside of the country. But I can tell you now, when this country was set up, there would never have been anybody who would believe that we would have millions upon millions upon millions of illegal alien residents of other countries who have come into America and are here. And, it's obvious to me that the best course of action here, if you want to have humane and appropriate handling of folks, is to engage local law enforcement instead of saying, we're not going to help and crossing our hands and saying, we don't believe that that law should be enforced. Instead of doing that, say, hey, you know what? It's time to enforce the laws. This has become a big issue in the country. We need to encourage you to go home to your home, those people that do not have legal permission to be here. And, as local law enforcement, know where people are, can put on a friendly face, have had the right kind of training, and will be guided by sensitive local elected officials and state officials to help them do things the right way. But when you sit on your hands and you say, we're not participating, it's really hard for me to handle the idea that while you sit there and talk about not enforcing the law, you begrudge these federal officers for trying to do it the best way they can. Their job is to enforce the law, and the law on the books in America is that these people have violated a federal code. They have violated the law. They need to be apprehended. They need to be detained, and they need to go through a due process, although we need a pretty efficient one, because I don't know how you get rid of 10 million people or whatever it is. If everyone's got a court date and comes back in 18 months, what do you do with all those people? So there needs to be an efficient process that ascertains whether or not somebody had a legal right to be here or not, and then they need to go, and then they can get in line. Well, again, if they're having to get physically deported, they don't self-deport. I don't really want them back, but maybe there is a process. But let's get all the people legally in line first to come back. So I know this kind of a position is controversial with some people. I just call it the way that I see it, as a rule of law guy. And I do believe in the American dream and the city on the hill, and that we should be a magnet for people to immigrate and come here, but the right way, not the wrong way, not the illegal way. And at some level, I do think that a generation or two of politicians in blue states owe an apology to these people for creating a permission structure to make them feel like it ain't a thing and don't worry about it and it's fine. So with that, I've gone on for way too long. We'll see how many people actually watch this, but this is Jon Fleischman, and thanks for being a part of So Does It Matter, where we have civil discourse and have an opportunity to disagree. And I meant what I said at the end of my column, which is that I have a lot of great, great friends who I respect and who I think respect me, where we're going to agree to disagree on this issue. And that's okay, because my good friends are entitled to be wrong. They are. That's just the way that it is. Take care.